All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Robert Benenati, here
Yes,
we
sir.
are. So Robert's actually been on my podcast, the WTF Are You Talking About? We did one, what episode was that? 300 and maybe 4 or 5, I think, or around there, on the future of fitness regarding this pandemic. And I got a lot of views. And then I ended up being able to be on his podcast, Robert.
Yes.
Real Business, which we'll get into in the future here, which was awesome. I think that was episode 101. And so let's first talk about who you are, where you're at. So I just want to throw my 2 cents in real quick. So 365 Realty is located in, I think, one of the sweetest spots in Orlando. What is this? Plaza Viazza, if I'm not mistaken?
Plaza Venezia.
Venezia. Mm-hmm. And that's by Restaurant Row in Orlando off of Sand Lake Road.
Dr. Phillips, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Phillips. It's right near Rocco's Tacos, Corona Cigar, Seasons 52.
Eddie V's, yeah.
Yeah, Eddie V's. We're in his spot right now. It's beautiful. So just to give you a heads up on that. So what I'm going to talk about, Robert, is his past, kind of how he ended up in Florida, where he grew up. I know some of his past, so it's so interesting. So that's the first thing I want to get into, if you wouldn't mind. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're born in New York, and let's kind of take it from there.
Well, I am half Italian, half Dominican.
Right.
My parents met in Brooklyn. So I was born there. And fast forward to the age of 13, my dad decides to move us to Argentina.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
It was back in the 80s. It was 1987, I believe, and I was going to start high school. Things were tough in Brooklyn, so he decided to get me out of there. We went on vacation to Argentina. Why Argentina? Because my grandfather immigrated from Sicily to Argentina after the Second World War. So my dad and 3 other brothers moved with the family, and most of my cousins on that side, on my dad's side, are all born in Argentina.
Gotcha.
So that's why Argentina. We went there on a vacation, came back, sold everything. 3 months later, we're back in Argentina, living there, which I don't regret. I think the best experience as a young teenager was there. I got to do a lot of outdoor stuff, camping.
Sure.
It was awesome. I did high school, college there, 2 years of college. Took a break, came back to Brooklyn. We had my dad had an apartment building in Brooklyn, so I went back to kind of oversee it.
Right.
I was supposed to stay a year, and the year became 3 years, and so forth. This is 1996, I think, 95, when I go. And unfortunately, he, being there 3 years, I go back to Argentina in 1997 and 96, Christmas of 96. And that the same day I landed, he was diagnosed with cancer. 6 months later, he passes. And I was there for a little bit, and I decided to come back to New York. And I just got used to the fast pace of the city,
Sure.
Versus Argentina, the province where I was, Mendoza, and it led me to other things. And I started working for a recycling company, which then took me to live in Honduras for a year and a half. So I was I was doing that for a while. Came back to Brooklyn. And in 1999, and that's when I got my real estate license. So that's where real estate...
In New York. Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's where real estate started for me. And he was a contractor in New York, so I was always in the construction, in the rehab, in the building.
Sure.
Having the building, I was doing kind of the property management at a young age. So it felt natural for me to go into real estate.
Yeah.
Then in 2003, 2004, in between, I decided to land here in Orlando.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, my father moved to Florida when I was a sophomore in high school. So this is the mid 80s, and even though it's not like going what you went through, moving to another country, but I was doing my summers in Florida and living in Chicago. And it was such a different life just being just exposed to it. Because when you're a city kid from Chicago and then all of a sudden you're in Florida for summers, the way you dress, act. But what was unbelievable about that experience was I was able to go to camp, say tennis camp in Nick Voluntary. I went to summer school and met a bunch of friends here. And it kind of opened my eyes to say, you know what, here's another option in your life, right, besides just Chicago. Even though I always wanted to leave, I just never did it. In your case, moving there, let's say in high school and then coming back and forth, do you think that's helped you a ton regarding just being able to adapt and moving other places as well? Or how do you think that works out to your benefit?
I've always embraced change. I think change keeps my brain going and adapting. To be honest with you, I had struggles in school, in elementary school. Sure. Coming from a Spanish-speaking family,
right,
and then speaking English in school, and my brain was going all over the place. Not that I wasn't smart enough. I was just, going through two languages and trying to translate in my head thoughts, right?
Sure.
But at that young age, at 13, 14, I knew I wanted to leave Brooklyn.
Right. So you're
like Chicago for you.
Yeah, sure.
I think it was tough, right?
It was an escape, though. Right,
yeah,
for you,
for me,
like me too.
Because it was stressful. I mean, you would see all the gangs, all the graffiti, all the drugs that back then. They were very visual. I mean, the street. So for me, I just wanted to get away from that. So yeah, it did help me. The fact that I was single, I was young, coming back to Brooklyn, then I think I needed a change, a faster pace as well.
Sure.
Because I never, even though I lived there for a while at the age of 14, I kind of missed the speed of life in New York. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted to taste that again, and I came back and it helped me.
Yeah.
So I think there was a good balance between me going back and forth. So
it's interesting because I have a lot of friends that live in Florida that originally started in, say, Dominica Republic, or they were from Cuba, Spain, all these different places. But for the most part, they moved here when they were younger. And then they went to school, and then obviously high school, and then college. In your case, it had to be a little difficult because you're in high school now. In high school, as you know, you're preparing for college. Mm-hmm. But you're in another country.
Right.
Right? So it wasn't as simple. That had to be very difficult, I think, at times, because you're in another country. Do I go to college there? Do I go back to the States, or do I not go to college at all? Because
that was an issue for me. So I did associates, and I never finished my bachelor's. And just life kind of led me different ways with work and opportunities. I mean, when I got back to Brooklyn, working for this recycling company that was based out of Brooklyn, and shortly after that, starting with them, I was managing close to 40 guys at the age of 21.
Right.
So I had always good positions and good management skills, and and just life takes you wherever it needs to take you, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it was tough. To answer the question, it was tough to follow through, and do I regret it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm good where I'm at. I'm happy
absolutely.
where I'm at. I don't know what I would have done if I did go to college and finish college. I was doing international trade and business.
Right.
Thinking that living in Argentina, States, I would be able to import, export, and get into that business. But life took me to real estate.
When I was in Chicago, I was going to a private Catholic school. So much different than when I was coming to Florida, and I had to do a couple summer schools, which was brutal. But what was interesting is you would think I would have loved being here and just staying here, because I love Florida at that point so much more than Chicago. But I didn't like the schooling systems, right? So I'd always go back. And my father kept saying, why don't you just stay here and just go to school with everyone? And I said, well, because I don't like the school necessarily. I don't like the system. I played a lot of sports. I was with the team. But then what was interesting is right after I graduated high school in Chicago, I left and kind of never looked back. And did you feel like that as well when you were kind of graduating, saying, you know what, it's time for me to go back to the States. That's really who I am.
Yeah. So like I said, when my dad passed away, I was 24 at the time. I stayed in Argentina with obviously with my mom and my sister.
Right.
And I moved her from the bigger house to a smaller house,
Mm-hmm.
which was easier for her, and it would now remind her of him,
Yeah.
of my dad, being at the house.
Yeah.
I was there for about 4 months, and I just didn't find myself. I kind of, being back in New York for 3 years kind of just changed my mentality, and I remember trying to do things with the county and municipality, and I would call, and you have to come in person. You would get there, and you have to come back tomorrow. You forgot this document, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me when I was on the phone?
Right.
And just the process was just so difficult, and I think that just made me even more so decide to, I have to be back in the States. That's really my roots.
Right. Home, right?
That was
to
home.
a certain degree?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, I love Argentina.
Sure.
Again, I've traveled all South America. I did almost the whole country. I did Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil.
That's awesome.
I've traveled a lot there. I can't regret it. The best
Right.
experiences of a young teenager, going camping in the middle of nowhere for weeks at a time. It was insane. It was
Yeah, and how many people
beautiful memories.
Yeah, who gets to explore that? Like most people, especially in the States. We look at life, we go to vacation if it's Europe or anywhere, we think life is kind of like that, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not at all.
And appreciate life. Appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
Going to other provinces or the country and looking at how other people live in the culture. You go back home and you're like, I have all this.
Yeah.
I should be grateful. So yeah.
Yeah, we take a lot of things for granted.
For granted, yeah.
Yeah, there's no, even as much as my grandparents used to say, Rich, you were born in the wrong country. You should have been born in Italy and all these things. And then when you go to Italy, and I think I'd fit in there definitely later in life, but as a young teenager, because I have a lot of cousins all different ages there, they don't have the opportunities. Even though I love the food, I love the culture, I love the family environment, but then you go, wow, this is slow motion, right,
Yeah,
compared to our lifestyle.
Somewhere to retire.
Yeah, it was exactly.
Yeah.
Or, after maybe, I don't know if my kids couldn't, I don't think, live there. So, but if my kids eventually have kids or have their own life as they get older, that definitely may be a place I want to be. But to grow up there, say on the flip side, like you, if I was in Chicago and I had to go to Italy, back to Italy, I can see myself, obviously, like you did, saying, wait a minute here, I think I got to get back home.
Yeah, I'm 47, and obviously life changes, and the speed of life and all. And I always tell we still have property in Argentina, and sometimes I tell my wife, you know what, I feel like I want to take 3 months.
Yeah.
Pretty much what we're going through.
I want to
right?
do it too. They're Hawaii, right? Italy or Hawaii.
Right. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I just want to take 3 months and just around nothing, disconnect, and just read book and go on walks in nature in the mountains, and just whatever, just
reprogram,
reboot, and
refresh the whole thing.
Yes. We go on vacation, we come back, and we come back tired. I mean, we need vacation from our vacation. So, yeah, that happens with other countries.
Yeah.
A lot of people retire in those countries, and they live there for 3-4 months at a time, and come back and forth. And
absolutely, and we live in the biggest tourist destination in the world. So it's I always call people in Orlando, we're like professional tourists, because we have to adapt right to everybody here being a tourist, and we kind of fall into a category of being a tourist as well, even though we live here. Right, we got season tickets to Disney, Universal.
Yeah. We're in a constant vacation mode. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly where you're at right now is basically, except for Disney, the #1 tourist destination literally in the country. Right, Sand Lake Road,
there.
Restaurant Row, the convention center. So, why'd you pick Florida?
First, the weather. To tell you the truth, New York is brutal.
Yeah.
It's depressing to a certain point because it's. I don't know, 6 months out of the year, it's just dark and gloomy and whatnot, right?
Of course.
That's number one. Traveling to other countries made me realize there's way better weather than New York.
Of course.
And I came down on a vacation and felt it out, and speaking Spanish, it was easy, and the weather was great. I said, why not? And I did see an opportunity in real estate here.
Yeah.
I said, this is a place where people eventually are going to move to.
Yeah.
And it's a transient state. People come from the north, they retire, they come down here, then it's too hot, they don't like it, they go back.
Sure.
You got people from South America moving here because the language and the culture, and then they venture out to other states eventually.
Yep.
So I thought in real estate I would have a good opportunity.
When you first moved to Florida, though, you weren't in Orlando, correct?
So I did a trip down to Boynton Beach for a month.
right.
My cousin was there, and I went out there for a month, and I didn't like it.
We
So,
talked about it. It's
yeah,
a beautiful little spot.
beautiful little spot for a weekend.
To sleep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I went back to New York, did a couple of things, and then
Mm-hmm.
years later, 3 years later, I decided. Then I got married and had my firstborn, and I was like, I don't want to raise her here. So kind of going through my own experience
Yeah.
of not being raised in New York.
Yeah.
It's great for single people and hustlers and people that are trying
Yes.
to reach certain careers, right?
Sure.
Like you want to be a celebrity, an actor. Where do you go?
L.A.
L.A.
Sure.
Right. Well, same thing. So yeah, those are the three reasons why I chose Orlando.
I went through the same thing with my kids. Well, my dad lived here, but I was debating too when I had my daughters. I'm like, I could have went to South Florida. I had a lot of family there, more than Central Florida and Orlando. But my kids, I said, I wasn't a huge Disney guy, but I said, I think my kids might like Disney. And then they were little and they fell in love with it. And we lived here for a while, and then we ended up going back to Chicago for medical reasons with one of my daughters. They were, even though I have a massive family, I have like 170 cousins, and Chicago's a lot different than when I grew up in Chicago, even the suburbs. The whole atmosphere is way better. My daughters missed Florida so bad, and it was almost, one of my daughters who had a liver transplant, she just didn't excel. She lost a lot of weight, lost all her hair, and I finally had to tell the doctors, I think I have to go back to Florida, even though I know her medical team was in Illinois.
Right.
They said, do whatever you got to do. And when I came back here for both of them, it was an explosion. And
Instant change, right?
yeah, their life, I think the sun, their lifestyle, they loved Wet and Wild, obviously Disney, Universal, Busch Gardens. It was nonstop, the beach. It's just, and that made me happy, I guess you could say. And people are always like, why'd you pick Orlando, not Miami? Or why didn't you pick Naples? Why didn't you pick Sarasota? Why didn't you pick all these places? I'm like, because they call it the happiest place in the world, I guess, for a reason. My kids loved it here.
Yeah.
So
It made sense. Yeah.
yeah, it made sense. So you now, let's get into real estate stuff here a little bit here. So you had your New York license. What did you do? Did you come here and you have to get your, because I had a real estate license and I had a mortgage license as well. Did you have to get another license here, or is it extension? How's that work?
Well, back then, if I remember correctly, I had to do it all over again.
Okay, IFRIC or whatever.
Yeah,
The school.
to the school. I went to school.
Yeah.
I did the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
redo the whole thing.
Did you forfeit your license in New York, or do you have both?
I kept it for a couple of years, and then I was like, I'm not going back.
Yeah, and it wasn't like before probably where you could do virtual school and stuff online to even keep it, right? You'd have to probably go back and do all the post-licensing.
No, I think at that time,
post-schooling?
you could do a mail away or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm the type of person like, A or B. I don't have two plans. I stick with one.
Yeah.
100%. So I didn't want to have that option of going back or not. That wasn't an option for me.
Gotcha. You're strictly real estate. Do you do mortgaging as well, or?
Yeah, I'm also licensed.
You do both.
Yeah,
Nice. You do property management, correct, as well?
correct.
Right. So you do the full gamut here.
Yeah, I do anything that has to do pretty much with real estate. I do a little bit of commercial and industrial. I've done them. It's not my bread and butter.
Yeah.
It's a different monster, and
Yeah, of course.
but it's general real estate. So anything buy, sell, rent, invest, flip, build. Now I've got into development, building new construction with a team. New construction homes with builders.
Yeah.
So anything that has to do with real estate.
Where's your main focus right now, would you say, as far as real estate goes? Are you in even an area, let's say, because as you know, Central Florida is growing at such a rapid pace where it's, you're in Dr. Phillips, but like say it could be Clearmount, like Nona.
I do
Kissimmee.
all Central Florida.
Do you?
A lot of people farm, maybe in other cities, but I've somehow just kind of got around all Central Florida. So anything from Haines City, Davenport to Deltona, from Claremont to East Orlando.
Sure.
Anything within Central Florida, I do. So I've never farmed, really.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What do you like? Let's put it this way: you have a lot of people moving here now, obviously from all over the country. I think we're the third highest population now. We even beat out New York, from what I heard.
I believe so. Yeah.
A lot of people come here, and I think they get confused. Either should they buy new real estate, new homes? Should they buy kind of an older style home, like take Dr. Phillips, let's say, for instance, right? You have homes there that a lot of them are older. There's new construction as well, but a lot of them, as you know, they were built in the 80s and 90s and so on. Great area. Let's take Davenport, hypothetically, you said it. You can get a home there much cheaper, probably the same size, new construction. And they're really only, say, 35 miles from one another.
Right.
What would you tell someone as far as, like, what would you recommend?
So everyone has a different need. It's just like maybe buying a car.
Sure.
Maybe you need a truck, maybe you need a pickup truck, maybe you need something just to get around, maybe you need luxury.
Yeah.
So same thing happens with buyers. Everyone has what they want and what they need. I try to see what they need versus what they want, because we all want better things and bigger things, right? So it depends a lot on their criteria, income, where they particularly. Some people tell me, I don't want to live in the city and the busyness. I want something, away. Depends on their job. I need to be close to work. I'm being transferred. Where are you going? Schools.
Sure.
Some people like the new construction because the warranties and the help they get in closing costs and incentives, versus I want to buy somewhere where it's already stabilized, where there's good schools and and all the commerce and close to roads, something like Dr. Phillips.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to pay more for certain areas.
Of course.
So again, that boils down to income and what they can afford, the purchasing power. So I dig into that before I could tell them, where we should be looking at or what I recommend.
And people got to be realistic too. I think a lot of times when they move to places, because I lived in San Diego for a while as well, and I've lived in Florida. When people want to move here from the Midwest or up north or wherever, they're always looking at the best areas or most exclusive areas, right? A lot of times, even if California will be like, Rich, I want to live in San Diego, I want to live in La Jolla, I want to live in Carlsbad, I want to live in wherever the hell.
The best zip codes,
Yeah, and in Florida as well, they'll be like, hey, I want to live in South Beach, hypothetically, maybe Naples, or maybe, Sarasota or them. And when they look at property, they see the expense of it. But the reality is, there's a lot of great places to live in Florida that are very affordable.
There is.
Right?
There is. It's just because those are known.
That's what, right.
Right. But there's a lot of hidden secrets in Florida. Beautiful places that,
absolutely,
if you really take the time to look and research, you'll find.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you're back to the ocean. Most people want to live near the ocean a lot of times when they move to a place like Florida. And I'll be like, well, and again, they may be looking at high-end areas that they've visited on vacation or that they've heard about. And again, I'll be like, if you can't afford it, consider Cocoa Beach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something where it's affordable. You're still not too far from a major city like Orlando. I'm just using for an example. But most people won't do that. And I think a lot of people want to move, but they get caught up being locked up in areas like I just said. It could be, again, Clearwater, Sarasota. It could be Palm Beach. It could be Lauderdale. It could be Boca Pompano. Most likely, a lot of people can't afford to live there. That doesn't mean you can't move here, right?
Right.
Right.
I mean, I'm in Orlando, and we're like 45 minutes one way to the beach, and now we're 15 to the West Coast.
Exactly.
I mean, you could go anywhere from here. So,
why do you think most people do come to Orlando? Do you think the main anchor is Disney, or do you think it's because, like we were just describing, it's central to the West, which is obviously the Gulf side, or the East, the Atlantic side? What do you think?
There's many reasons. I think number one is the weather.
Of course.
Right. Okay, I think that's number one. And when you say Florida, I think they think beach and palm trees.
Sure.
Right. And so many people have moved to Florida overall, to the state, and prices are definitely different than up north.
Yes.
I mean, what you get here for 2,500 square feet you can't buy something like that in up north.
Sure.
You know,
Or
you're
Midwest, like Chicago, right? You're
Correct.
saying up north, like New York, Boston. Right.
Yeah.
Philly, D.C., of course.
Right.
Yeah.
A single family house, 2,500 square feet. You're talking about maybe 700,000-800,000 just for that. When you could get something like that here for $350.
Yeah, and if you compare it to California, it's a third of the price, like practically.
We're talking in the millions.
Yeah, right.
So I think those are some of the reasons why people, the language, the weather, the beaches, palm trees, and prices of the homes.
Yeah, it's very interesting how you live your lifestyle in Florida because it's much different, say, than Chicago, and I spend so much time on the East Coast as well, probably more now. But like when you come to Florida, I think a lot of people underestimate how much money you're going to spend doing a lot of things. Because again, say Orlando, you may buy Disney tickets like a year pass.
It's expensive.
Universal, or you may end up shopping more. You're eating out more. You're doing all these things, and people get wrapped up in it. And I think they get their ass kicked a little bit financially, right? Especially when they first move here because they're kind of used to, even if they lived up north, they go home, they sit at home, they may eat out here and there. But it's more of a inside culture lifestyle to a certain degree because of the weather. But in Florida, especially when you first move here, you start visiting all the beach towns, going different places, hotel expenses, and you kind of get wrapped up where a lot of things are more money than you'd expect.
They add up quick.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the lifestyle here. You have all type of eatery and restaurants all around. That's why, because that's part of the tourism. Tourists come, they need to eat. And we get wrapped up into that, all these franchises, and we end up going out and eating out. It's so easy,
Right.
But it does add up.
It does. And I have family members, though, that have always lived such a different lifestyle than I have, which say Deltona, or is that Orange City as well over there? Mm-hmm. You can really get a great deal on a house over there.
Yeah.
And again, they don't get wrapped up in living the Orlando tourist kind of lifestyle. I have a lot of cousins over there. So it's quite interesting how you can live, say, 35, 40 minutes from somewhere, but live entirely different lifestyles. It's almost like saying I live in Chicago and then I live in the suburbs of Schaumburg.
I mean, here, like Sorrento, Leesburg, Mount Dora, it's growing.
Right.
And that's a quiet lifestyle.
Yes.
Like if you want quietness and not, like you say, 30 minutes away from the hustle and bustle here in Orlando, it's not that far away. But you could live definitely that quiet life.
Yeah, a friend of ours from Miami just moved to Sanford. And I was like, talk about a different contrast. But he's like, I've lived in Miami my whole life. I was exhausted. And I couldn't believe what I could get for the money in Sanford. Now, of course, it's not Miami. But what I've always found very interesting about Florida is, and I've been everywhere all over North America, it's truly like living in another country to a certain degree, more than anywhere else to me, even more than California. I understand California mixes and blends with Mexico a lot, right? It's beautiful there. But Florida, from a tropical standpoint, also there's so many different nationalities. It's almost New York and Florida. And even if you go South Florida, they're all speaking, many different languages besides just Spanish, right? I mean, it's you don't know what you're going to get out there.
Yeah.
It's really so unique, Florida, compared to the rest of the world to me, or rest of North America.
You're getting a lot of Asians, Middle Easterns,
Absolutely.
Europeans, South Americans. I mean, you have a large blend here of people.
Yeah.
I think even more than New York at this point, pretty much, or close to. I mean, New York has been a state that's been populated, immigrated for years, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to catch up. But from a standpoint of comparison, I mean, we have them all here.
What do you think of the future of Florida? Because I always say it's going to become the Manhattan of, of this country. Bigger. I think it'll destroy it. I think in the future, whatever amount of years, it's going to go South Florida all the way to Jacksonville. It's going to be one massive city. What do you think?
I honestly don't know. What I know is that I probably won't be here.
Yeah, no shit. We definitely won't.
I think I'm gonna get out of here. We've spoken with my wife, and we're ready for a small town somewhere. Really? Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe move out of the state. Not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But I've seen this grow from 2000. Beginning of 2004, I'm here.
Yeah,
late.
it's booming.
It's just traffic. I mean, what took me 15 minutes to get to a certain place, now it's like, 45 minutes
Oh yeah.
to maybe an hour for the same amount of mileage. So it's definitely crowded, but business is booming here.
Yeah.
Um,
And people want to be here.
Bigger companies are
Sure.
moving here and providing a lot of jobs. So it's growing, and there's a lot of land still. So
Tons. And affordable land.
yeah, there is. So I think this is going to continue growing for the next, 20, 25, 30 years.
I've been coming here since I was 5 years old, and I basically moved here at 18. And I used to go to California when I was younger in the 70s, and they had that huge boom. Even a lot of my family members, even from Chicago, went west because the South, there wasn't really any money. They used to call this swampland, right, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going in the 70s to California, the 80s, and that huge boom. And I said, in the last, I think, 5, 8 years here, I've seen almost the same boom happening here that happened in California then. I mean, California's always growing. I mean, it's explosion over there, always consistent with people wanting to live there for one reason or another. But Florida, like we just discussed, being the third most populated state in the United States, shows a lot. And I mean, if you look around, even though it's busy like you're saying, as you know, we can go 60 miles in one or two directions, or certain, and it's a ghost town. Right, a lot of Florida is undiscovered, especially if you go way down to the Keys.
It's the main cities, it's Miami,
Sure,
and the South Side, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Jacksonville. What happened with the rest of the Panhandle?
It's huge. From the top of Florida to the bottom. I mean, that's a drive and a half. It's big. It's a big state. So you want to jump into the podcast a little bit?
Sure.
Let's jump into the Real Business Podcast.
Yeah, that's my new baby, my new venture.
Tell us all about it. How you started. I mean, you started this. I met you. You were talking about it, but what made you kind of really decide to do it?
You did.
What the hell? I'm scared now.
It's your fault. So
your wife's gonna want to kill me probably. She's like, "No, this is another endeavor you're on."
So yeah, we met at the gym.
Yeah.
Through a friend in common, and you guys were had a conversation about your YouTube channel, right? So I said, okay, now I have somebody I could talk to and ask questions and pick brain, and we spoke a little bit. Tell me how you do it, what you do, why you do it.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to, in a way, give back to the community somehow.
Yeah.
And I wasn't just sure how, and I think this just seemed the right way to do it. It was easier for me. Right. So I came up with the name, The Real Business, because I'm interviewing real people with real stories, their struggles, how they overcame struggles, how they've reached success or on the path to success. And success for everyone is different. But I think there's a lot of stories, real stories that a lot of people could find inspiring, motivating, people thinking or being hesitant of opening their own business or leaving their 9 to 5 or whatever the case is, a stay-at-home mom thinking that she has a good skill that she could put out there, be it a YouTube channel, be it a cooking, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I think they could find the answer on the podcast. So
you've already had some great guests. You got to be kidding me. You just started this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've really taken off and had some great people right off the bat.
Yeah, I've been lucky to, I've been in Orlando for a while, so I've met a lot of interesting people, real business people that I've known them for years, how they've, I see where they're at today.
Yeah.
And that's inspiring. That's something I want to share. That's a story I want to share. I want to put those people in contact with the listeners that might say, how can I get in contact with him or her and ask questions? Well, I share all that on the descriptions, phone numbers, emails, Facebook, whatever it is, if they found it inspiring, and ask the questions.
I love your podcast because you're truly interested in what your guests are saying and you're learning from them.
And I continue learning.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have that. A lot of people want to start podcasts or do YouTube channels. They could do it for any reason they want. You're not doing this to just say, hey, I'm going to record you and share all my, can you put your podcast or put my podcast on all your social media links to get exposure. I don't think that's your thing really at all. I think you want to start your own podcast and learn about people and share experiences just independently, I guess you could say. Because a lot of times, even me, people are like, Rich, I want to have you do this or that for me. Will you be on my show? But can you give me your list of contacts, or can we do this
well,
or
that's
this?
that, no,
right?
that's not the goal.
No.
The goal is really to put the content out there.
Right.
It's going to be inevitable that they are going to share it, obviously, because it's their story and they want their people to know it, and that's fine. I haven't even gotten to the point of really marketing the podcast in a way to I just want to get my face out there or my voice out there. Obviously, that's the goal. I want people to listen to it and learn from it. I'm trying to give back.
But it's genuine. You're just genuinely starting slow and growing with it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just genuine.
I'm going to commit mistakes. It's a new platform for me of communication, so I'm enjoying it because I'm learning as well.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
It's a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey, and I'm enjoying the journey. I don't know where it's going, but wherever it is, it might. That's the reason it should be there. I don't know where. I'm just doing it out of the heart because I think this is the right thing and it's joyful. I don't want to take anything with me. I want to look back and say, what did I give back?
Sure.
To the world. Something. So I think this is it.
Yeah, when I met you, I definitely think you were ready to take on something different because I think a lot of us get caught up in our jobs, professions, your own company, doing the same thing over and over again, and you were ready to try a different endeavor, right?
I was, and I was in a moment in my life that I was a little frustrated, kind of lost. I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I met with someone that I hope I could have him on the podcast. I'll reach out to him, and I was introduced to him by a friend in common that we have, and a very interesting guy. And he took out the time. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. I think it was like an hour and a half conversation. And he said one thing that I kind of incorporated and stuck with me. And it was very simple. It was, you know what? Be still. Just be still.
Yeah. Calm down.
Yeah. You don't have to do anything. You have your business. Keep doing what you're doing in your business. Doesn't mean be still. It means, don't do anything. It just means don't create. Don't grow your company. Don't close your company. Don't start another business. Just be still. Be where you are at now, and things will come to you. So I got to the point where on my cell phone, I had a background of an ocean, a very still ocean, and I wrote the words "be still." So every time I picked up my phone, because the first thing everybody, when you're anxious, is what you pick up your phone, and it just reminded me every time, just be still. And I don't know, I think I was still for 6 months, And he said, "Don't worry how long you're going to be still. It could be a week, it could be 6 months, a year, but just keep working at real estate, what you're doing, and the rest will come." And it did eventually. It got to the point where I found what I wanted to do. I initiated, and at that point, I deleted the "be still" because I think it did its job. And yeah, so I hope to have him on the podcast.
That's awesome. Yeah. What made you choose podcast instead of, say, a YouTube video or instead of whatever?
Well, the good thing about the podcast is that I have 2 platforms. Okay. So one is the audio, which is just the podcast, but like you're doing now with the video, now I could share it on YouTube. Sure. So now I have, and with Facebook and social media, everything is visual. So I think I can still do both.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just a conversation that I'm having. I'm not vlogging or trying to be on camera. It's just 2 platforms I can share at the same time.
Yeah, and right now you're doing them in your office, or you're doing them Zoom, right? Through that way as well, correct?
Correct. I'm doing Zoom because I have certain people that don't live here in Orlando. I try to do like we're doing now, face to face. It just seems a lot more genuine, and I could see expressions, and people could see that.
Yeah.
everyone's doing Zoom now, and I think it's a little done with already.
Yeah.
So that's just my format.
Do you think eventually you'll start taking your show and maybe going to, say, a convention or an event, or going to other people and kind of doing that a little bit?
You know what? I haven't gotten that far.
Haven't thought about it?
No.
Right.
No,
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm just still trying to,
Yeah, because you're kind of structured. I think you have a certain brand that you want to represent, a certain look, which is great, like your office and your signage, which is great stuff. I was just wondering if, like, in the future, you go to a real estate convention, or you go to a meeting or something, and you just plop all your stuff down and start.
Yeah, that's a good
nailing
idea.
it. Yeah, something.
I think we'll just do it live and
Yeah.
sit there and just have whoever wants to stop in and Yeah, that's a good idea. Now I got to blame that to you. And, you're responsible for that too.
Oh my goodness.
I'll let my wife know.
I remember when you reached out, because when we were in the sauna, we had a mutual friend, but I didn't really talk to you necessarily, because usually in the sauna, talk about be still, I like to shut down.
Yeah.
I just lay there, like I just want to almost die for 15, 20 minutes, because it's silence and I love it. But usually if there's people in there and they know you got a YouTube channel, they want to talk fitness or whatever, and I like that too. I love it. I could care less. But when you hit me up on Instagram, and I don't run my Instagram, Maria does, my girlfriend, and we get hit by different people all the time, because you're just, if it's not my podcast, it's my YouTube channel, or just social media, who the hell knows? And she goes, just a heads up, someone hit you up on Instagram. I said, who? And she's like, she was describing you, and I said, I don't know who that is. And she's like, he should be cool. He's Italian. I'm sure you'll talk to him. And she walked away. I said, all right, let me know who it is. But it was kind of a funny thing. She's like, he's a family man from Orlando, and he's Italian. She's like, you should reach back. I said, oh, okay. Because a lot of times she doesn't, I don't even know what comes on these things.
Right.
That was just a funny story. And I said,
cool. I didn't know that. It was like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious. The way she said it right at the gym. I think it was at the gym too. She's like, yeah, some guy, Robert, hit you up. He looks good. He's got a wonderful family. He's got kids. And he's Italian, so you should probably reach back. So she just thought it was either a family member, a friend, or a lost somebody, or who knows. It was just funny. So,
Yeah.
All right, my man. Anything else you want to go over?
No, I appreciate you having me on your show again.
I appreciate you being on my. You were my first Zoom podcast.
Oh, was I?
Yeah. After doing a few hundred podcasts, I mainly only did audio, and I had you. We did 2. We only posted 1. But thank you for doing that. And like I said before, having you out of nowhere, because you have a certain following, family members, friends, colleagues, and no one really truly knew who you were. So when I posted you, like I said before, everyone wanted to know who you were, which was cool. So I'm excited to post this one up as a follow-up, because that was, like we said, it was basically the pandemic, the future of fitness regarding the pandemic.
Yeah, about gyms, if they're going to open, or would you go back if they do open. So yeah, that was just
That was really cool, off the cuff style. Yeah. So
it was interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be our next one for me, and I'll share the one me and you did as well.
All right.
All right. We're going to wrap it up there. That's all I got for you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.